All right, so welcome to today's session. Right here is a bit.ly. Go ahead and type that in and join the presentation because there will be some links that you're going to click throughout the session. So it's bit.ly/3S54 3XA. So again, it's bit.ly/3 lowercase s 54EXA. In this session, we're going to be talking about personality tests and how we can use these to motivate, engage, and help our students, and by meeting their initial needs as well. So we're going to be exploring a lot of different ideas and resources of how we can use personality tests to help us. If you don't know me, my name is Stephanie Howe, and I'm an instructional technology coach in Pickerington, Ohio. And I am obsessed with personality tests. It has grown me in so many different ways. I learned about personality tests the year of COVID. I think it was my coping mechanism. And when it came to personality tests, I was able to learn about myself better and why I reacted in certain ways and why maybe somebody else reacted the way that they did and how I could kind of bridge that gap to help meet their needs and understand them better. So I was no longer maybe taking things personal. And again, I was able to start to realize that we all are really different, but how we go about it can be interesting of how we approach every single buddy. So again, it was really interesting to me. And now I've been able to use it with students. I've been able to use it with other teachers and even in my family life. It changed the way that I parent my 3-year-old. We are both Reds, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But when it came to parenting him, I learned a lot about how I need to respond in a different way. And once I responded differently, and again, it took me some time to learn the language to get it to become natural. And so once I learned that, I was able to better help and support him. And now we have a much stronger relationship because of it. And I'm also able to understand my husband too, because he is a blue, so he needs time to process. Where I'm a red, I can process out loud. Where he needs time to process, and I'm like, why haven't you made your mind up yet? And so again, it was just kind of really helpful to walk through the personalities and start to get to know why we are the way that we are. So the first thing we're going to do is you are going to take a test. So there's all of these personality tests, but the one that we're going to look at is this temperament test. So go ahead and on the slides, you're going to go to this last one, temperament assessment. And once you open it up, there's going to be steps. There's take the test, watch the video, make a copy, and learn about the temperaments. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and take the test. So you're going to go to step 1, and you're going to complete this Google form. You're going to set about a 5-minute timer. And then once you finish that test, your scores will be sent to you through your email. So then you'll get an email notification of your temperament and what color you are, and that's what we'll use to guide us during the session. So again, I'm going to go ahead and go back to this first slide. So if you need the bit.ly, it's right here. And then you'll click this temperaments assessment. This Google slide will open up and you're going to take the test. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and set a 5-minute timer for us, and then we'll review our results.
That came in and back on us. Yes. Those are the other there. Yeah. Oh, okay. Anything.
Okay, so hopefully that was enough time for you to kind of start your test. If you're still taking it, just kind of go ahead and wrap it up. But once you have finished that test, you are going to get an email to your email, and it's going to give you your scores from the assessment. And so once you get your scores, you will be able to see what color you are. Feel free to reuse this with your students. There's a way to make a copy of the spreadsheet, and then there's a video that will walk you through setting up this form if you want to use it. You can also maybe use it with your parents, so that way you know how to provide them better feedback as well. So what inspired me was watching my friend Stephanie Rothstein do a personality test with a group of us. And she calls it Can We Talk EDU. It's a website if you're interested in this. And so with hers, it's on personalities. It's using the True Color personality test. And there's 4 colors. So there's gold, green, blue, and orange. And with those 4 colors, each of us respond to different situations, maybe a little differently, and how we get feedback is very important as well. So based off her session, I was really interested in how she kind of gathered this information on the colors and then how to give feedback to them. So again, you can go to her website. And there's also a video about this if you're interested in this one as well. And on her website, I learned, again, a lot about different personalities and how to respond to them, which we're also going to talk about again today. But the test that you just took is a temperament test, which I just learned about at the beginning of this summer. And what was interesting about the temperaments versus personalities is temperaments is something that we are born with. It's like our eye color or our hair color, where personalities can change depending on the situation. Temperaments cannot. So temperaments are not able to be changed. Typically, you can find a temperament by 18 months within a child. And when we're thinking about personalities, sometimes you can't see them right away. Sometimes personalities will come out a little bit later. And again, they can sometimes change based on the situation or based on your job or based on different things. So just keep that in mind, that temperaments are your like innate who you are, but personalities are kind of able to change, is what research has recently found out. So what was kind of happening is, again, something wasn't working for me. So I'm going to use my 3-year-old son again. And we were just going back and forth. We're both reds. We're both strong-willed. We're both very loud people when we're upset. And we were just kind of, again, arguing. We were back. Nothing was getting done. And so what I started to do is I started to realize that my current approach to parenting and to helping him was not working. And I might have felt a little bit stuck when I was trying to meet his needs and trying to maybe discipline him. And I was just becoming very upset and frustrated, and it just was ineffective. And I've seen this with teachers. I've seen teachers that have this one student that they complain about in the lunchroom and how they're just not matching together. And it's just a constant battle with either that parent or maybe the student. And so again, our current approaches to approaching this student is just not working. And what we're doing is very ineffective in how we're handling it. And so this is where temperaments can come in and support you, and you're able to use this as a guide. So temperaments go all the way back to hypocrisies. And so what happened is hypocrisies was kind of the first one that came up with this temperament. And there's 4 different personality temperaments that he has studied and kind of found that are still true to today. And so there are the 4 colors. We've got yellow. These are your people that are very outgoing. They love social. They love to engage in different conversations. They're usually a pleasure to be around when they're in their strength. Then you have your red. These are your people that will get stuff done. They are your leaders. They can also really kind of pave the way. Then you have your blues. Your blues are your like literal. They need to have research. They like to think things through. And then your greens. Your greens are your relaxed. They're very thoughtful, and they're pretty calm. And again, these are when we're in our strengths. And so a lot of times when we have our students at school, we typically might not see them in their strengths, okay? And so we're going to talk about our innate needs and how we get people to kind of reflect and maybe go back to their strengths to help them.
Hey, Stephanie, can I stop you for just a minute?
Yeah.
I had to pop into another room that didn't have a presenter. How do you see where you fell? Like, how do you get your results? Have you gotten there yet? Did I miss that portion?
It should come by email.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I apologize for interrupting.
No, and I will check too to make sure it's sent if you haven't gotten them.
I did not. I just submitted mine when I
Okay, it might take a moment.
Okay, I just didn't know if I missed it, and I didn't want you to get too far down the pike before I asked.
Yeah. And I can I'll check again to see if it went through. Let me check real quick. Yep, it looks like they were sent. So they should be coming to your email. So like here is an example of the results that you will get. So you can see that this person is a yellow because they have the highest score of 24. And then right here is just a quick, helpful document for you when it comes to temperaments.
Who does it come from? Like, I'm not getting anything.
It should come from me. I do see your results.
Have you gotten yours?
I'm still answering questions.
Okay.
Yeah. I submitted mine. I didn't get it either. So.
You didn't get it either? Okay. Well, I have the results right here, so I can send them. I'll manually send them. Does that sound good?
Thank you.
Yep. Do you guys care if they're together?
No.
Okay. I'll do that right now. That way you can follow along. Okay. All right. Great, here they come. Okay, they should be on their way.
Thank you.
Yep. So when it comes to the temperaments, we're all wired very unique. And so again, when we have the yellows, they see the best in people in their circumstances. Your reds are your visionaries. These are the ones who achieve goals. Your blues, they are the ones that know an obstacle is coming, and they're really well at problem solving and thinking through how they're going to solve these problems. And then we have our greens. Our greens will stay calm in all of the chaos. They are the ones that are just calm and collective. And so when we're thinking about our temperaments, these are our basic desires, okay? The greens do not like conflict. So when you have a green student and you are maybe coming up with them with a conflict, they are going to avoid it. And so again, they like peace. Your blues like perfection, okay? They want to make sure everything is perfect. The reds, they love control, and your yellows love fun. Okay, so this is kind of everybody's basic desire when it comes to temperaments. What then happens is we all have emotional needs. And if these needs are not being met, then you're going to see students and people in their weaknesses. And so you kind of have to think about what is the why of why this child is misbehaving, and go to their color to really pick it out as fast as you can. Because once you know that why, you're able to kind of help that student maybe redirect them and get back into their strength. So for emotional needs, we have peace and quiet and feeling of worth and lack of stress and respect for our greens. Okay, so these, again, they do not like conflict. They are very much focused on peace and quiet, and they want respect as well. And then your blues, they're very sensitive, support, space, and silence. Your reds, they are loyal. They need sense of control, appreciation, and credit for the work. Your yellows are attention, affection, approval, and appreciation. Then what happens is if they're performing in their weaknesses, they control by these things. Okay, so your green will put things off. They're going to procrastinate. Your blues are going to be very moody. Your reds might react in anger, and your yellows will react in charm. Okay, so it can just kind of help when we're not meeting those emotional needs. You might see how they control by these four things. And so then what happens is we can see how we kind of lead and what we're focused on. So when it comes to greens and yellows, they are very easygoing and they are not goal focused. Okay, so this is why when you assign an assignment in class and you are like, get it done, they might not get it done because they're not goal focused. Your blues and your red are. So when you have an assignment, you tell them, hey, like you create a SMART goal with them, they are going to get it done. They are very much so like, I'm going to get this done. Your greens and your blues here are very introverted, okay? They need time away from people to process information. They also might be a little bit more soft-spoken. So if they're talking in a group, they might need to be invited into the conversation. They might not just speak up. Where your reds and your yellows, these folks are more extroverted. They're willing to maybe speak out. We're also going to talk about how we process as well. And then they're also outspoken and they're a little bit more optimistic. So we have our VERTS, which are our introvert and extrovert. So we learned that green and blues, they will direct their feelings inward. These students need time to process before they just speak. So whenever we give them some discussion time, they might not speak up in the class discussion because they needed time to reflect and think. So this is where you're able to give them the list of questions prior to them going and talking about whatever they're learning about. So they might need just time to process all of that information before they come with a group or before they come with a big group. However, your yellows and your reds, they want to think out loud. And sometimes this is where conflict happens. So for example, I'm a red. I need to think out loud what I'm thinking. And sometimes that affects my relationship with a blue or green because they think I've thought about it when I'm not finished with my final answer. I'm just talking out loud. But when it comes to my blue and my green, what happens is these folks, again, need to process. So when they're talking to me and I'm just going off of whatever I'm thinking, that can be very overwhelming for them. And so as a red, I need to reflect on that. And I know that about my husband. So now, I didn't always, now I give him time to process. So if there's like a big decision or I need his thoughts, I might just say, hey, why don't you take a couple of days and think about it? And then let's have this conversation again. And it's really helped build up our relationship and our conversations. Also, when I'm coaching teachers and I know that I'm working with a blue teacher, I might tell her, why don't you think about it for like 2 days and then let's meet back up and let's discuss our plan of action. If I'm talking with a yellow, I know that this person needs to talk out that conversation. And so I can talk through it with them and ask them different questions. So knowing this can really help kind of think about that process and what every single person needs. And then there's task and people-oriented type of things. So our blues and our reds, they are focused on getting things accomplished, okay? These are your students that will have a list of goals and you will be able to get them done because they're going to have a task list. Your yellows and your green, these are people that want to be in a relationship and have that team building time. So rather than just having that blue and that red, I want to be able, to get things done. When we're thinking about our yellows and our greens, they're going to do something because someone invited them to do it. They're doing it, their focus, their motivation is based off of relationship. They want to do it because their friend is doing it. They want to do it because they know that person is going to collaborate with them. So sometimes when you're creating, you might want to create a group that has all 4 different colors because then they're able to use each other's strengths. Your reds and your blues will be able to help that group get it done. And your greens and your yellows, again, are wanting that social aspect where they're going to communicate throughout the group. So when we think about our groups, these are some languages that you might hear from these types of students. So for example, you might hear a red child say, hurry up, it's time to go, like let's go now. You might hear a blue say, I will just take care of it. They might not be good at delegating. You might also hear a red say, like, let me just finish this one more thing. Let's not leave until this one thing is complete. And then you have your greens and your yellow. And these are just some things that you might hear. You're going to hear the word fun a lot when you're talking to a yellow. That sounds fun. Let's get together. Again, it's all about the people. It's not about the task. You might hear who's going to be there. That matters a lot to a yellow. I can't wait to see you there tonight. Again, we're hearing the people in the conversation. So when we're looking at our colors, we can hear it through the conversations that we have. And again, you can notice when we have the blues and the reds, it's all about the task that needs to get done. Hurry up, it's time to go. Let me finish that one more thing. There's not a people focus here. Where over here, it's all about the people. So that is kind of an interesting thing to know about when it comes to those colors and how people respond. And so if we think of coffee, okay, so if we have coffee and we think about the colors in this way, the green person, if they go to Starbucks, there's a lot of options. So sometimes they feel very overwhelmed by all of the options. And again, that can be really overwhelming for a green. So when we're giving these students choice boards or different learning activities in our classroom, it can be overwhelming for them when they have 9 choices. So rather than doing all that, we might just want to be like, okay, here's 2. Pick from these 2 choices if we know that about these students. Typically when they have all of these options, they're just going to be like, I just want water. Like, I don't even want coffee because I'm just so overwhelmed by all the choices. Your blues, they will drink it even if they didn't want the coffee because they want someone that took the time to make it or bring it to them to feel appreciated. So even if they don't want it, they might still just take it. Your reds will make the decision and they're okay with living with their consequence. So for example, if it's 9 p.m. and they got asked for a coffee, they know that they won't be able to sleep and they're okay with that consequence. They're going to live with it. They can make a decision. So they will either say yes or no, and they will live with their decision either way. The yellow, this person is thinking about how can I make the coffee fun? How can I add more flavors? The mug, what are we going to use? And they're making it really fun. So sometimes that yellow personality can really scare that green. And sometimes with the red and the green, that's like the worst combination because the red is like, just make a decision. And the green is just sitting there like, I don't know. So that's kind of a way to explain it when it comes to coffee of how these people react. So here are the innate needs, which we already kind of talked about. But if all of these needs are being met, we're going to see people in their strengths. Okay, so we're going to see everybody in their strengths when we are at these meeting these innate needs. So is our cup full or empty? Okay, so if we have a full tank, this means we're operating at our strengths. If we have an empty tank, we're operating at our weaknesses. So if we're operating out of our strengths, the yellow is going to be a joy. They are going to be very encouraging. When they're at their weakness, they are going to be very dramatic and probably interruptive. They probably will not let you talk. They're going to talk over you. A red, they are going to be influential and they're going to be able to make decisions. When they are at their weaknesses, they might seem very selfish and not flexible at all. Your blues, they're going to be very thoughtful and they're going to be able to think of things and analyze it. But when they are empty, they are going to probably be more suspicious and moody. And then your greens are going to be considerate and generous. But when they are empty, they're going to be stubborn and sluggish. Okay, so again, this kind of helps us quickly tell, okay, is this person full or are they empty? And if they're empty, then I know how to respond to them a lot better than just yelling at them to do something. So we're going to go through all of the different colors now to just kind of think about what does each person maybe need. So when we're looking at our yellows, they need approval. So what does that mean? They are looking for love and they want to be loved by all of their flaws. They also are looking for acceptance. So they want to be invited to all of the events and they want to make sure that they are very important. And if they get left out, they can feel very sad. And then their attention, they want your undivided attention. So if you're meeting with a yellow, do not be on your computer. Okay, they want eye contact. They want you to be fully present when you are giving them attention. And then there's affection. They want to be noticed, they want to be acknowledged, and they want to be admired as well. So when we're thinking about our students and we think that they might be a yellow, right? And we have maybe kind of different things coming at us. We want to think about the situation, okay? So what is the situation that's taking place? And we want to just kind of pause and think about that student and what is happening. Typically with yellows, they might get in trouble for maybe talking something out. So for example, they might need to hear you say, I'm happy you are in my class this year, okay? They want to hear that approval. They want to feel like you do care. Maybe if they can't come to an event, you say, we're going to reschedule. It wouldn't be the same without you, okay? Maybe if it's attention, you might kind of think about, might say, I will be free in 5 minutes. So let's talk then so I can hear your whole story. Okay, I can't listen right now, but let's talk again in a couple minutes. For affection, you might say something like, good morning, I'm so happy to see you. Okay, so again, we want to use language that is very focused on their strengths. And be able to really start to build them up when they might not be feeling the best. But when they feel approval, appreciation, acceptance, attention, and affection, then they are going to be set for success and they're going to be on your side. The reds. Okay, so when it comes to reds, they want credit for their work. So what does that actually mean? They want to know that they are doing a good job. Okay. And I've heard teachers like say, I'm not going to thank them for that. Like they should just do it. Well, to a red child, that's how you can fill their cup. Is if you pause and really do shine the light on them and say, oh my gosh, you were the first one done with this project, or you organized your desk the best. They are going to appreciate you noticing them. And that's something I had to learn the hard way with my own son, is I wasn't giving him credit for his work. So for example, he drew a picture. As soon as it was done, I was like, oh my gosh, can we hang this up on our refrigerator? And so I hung up that picture on our refrigerator and he was just so excited. He felt heard, he felt seen. But a lot of times we don't maybe think about giving those students credit for their work. Appreciation. They want everyone to pull their weight in doing what they said they would do. Follow-up is huge for red. So if you are thinking of reds and you tell them you're going to do something, you better follow through, because as soon as you don't, they're going to lose trust with you. Sense of control. They want to know and hear that you have noticed what they've accomplished. They want to make sure that you have been able to see them and be able to kind of know, oh, this person has done exactly what they said they were going to do. And then loyalty. They want to feel seen and valued for their unique strengths. And so when we're thinking of a red, these are just some things that we might want to say to them. Is we're thinking of loyalty. How about we do something today, just the two of us, okay? They might prefer that smaller group of just two people compared to that yellow, where that yellow maybe wants everybody invited. You might also say, like, I think you would be perfect for this job. So if you have a student that's a red, and them hearing that they would be perfect for a job would just kind of make them feel like, hey, I am important to this person and they value me. When it comes to a sense of control, again, they want everyone pulling their weight. So you might tell the red, hey, why don't you pick the teams for today? Okay, so then they're able to maybe pick the teams. You might also be able to tell them, here are the project supplies I said I would pick up for you at the store, or here's this. So follow through is huge for a red. When it gets credit for a work, you might kind of tell them, thank you, for noticing that this desk was a mess and you were able to clean it up, or these books on the shelf are all over the place. So, and I didn't even have to ask you to do that. So thank you. And you're just noticing what they have to say. Or maybe it's, I see you all the time. You have been putting the basketballs away lately, and I'm just so proud of you. And then also appreciation. So they want to feel seen and they want to feel valued when it comes to appreciation. So again, just making sure that they hear you say, like, it was brave of you to stick up for Alex like that. You're such a loyal friend. Okay, so they want you to notice that as well. Our next color is the blues, and their needs are space and silence. So we're thinking of space and silence for a blue. Sometimes after a long day at work, they just need to go home, close the door, and be away from people for a moment. And they just need to kind of process it. So they just need to feel like they can, again, they sometimes will just tell information to those they trust around them. When it comes to safety, they want to acknowledge that the words and actions that they have might emotionally impact on them. Okay, so how we kind of go about things and how we think about things and acknowledge them when it comes to safety, we really need to have that trust. Support. When it comes to support, we need to be focused on their emotional needs, and they need to feel cared for when someone asks for help. And then sensitivity. They need undeserved time away from each other as well. So some things that you might say to a blue is, I will keep everything that you say between just us. Okay. They need to know that they can feel safe around you. and they can be able to know that information. Another thing that you can say about sensitivity is, I wanted to tell you the news early so you would have some time to process it. So maybe there's a schedule change, and maybe you just tell that one student. And again, you're just saying, I'm just telling you right now some insider scoop so you can process that information. That can kind of help a blue as well. When it comes to support, you might kind of ask them, would you be comfortable with me helping? I'm ready and I'm willing to help you. Another thing when it comes to space and silence, let's spend 10 minutes reading quietly before we jump back into today's lesson. So maybe after recess, we just say, okay, we're going to have 10 minutes of just some silence until we restart the lesson for today. Can kind of help a blue, just kind of, again, they need processing time and they just need that space. So then what happens is we go to our green. Okay, so our greens are, again, our calm and our peace. They need harmony. So when it comes to harmony, these students need to hear words that allow them to feel relaxed, because everything around them is just well. There's no conflict. There's nothing wrong. They need to feel that worth. They need to feel seen and valued. And sometimes they don't feel this way because greens are so peaceful that sometimes they're very quiet. So because they're quiet, they still need to be seen and heard. Lack of stress. They need that lack of stress. They hate stress. They hate being in conflict. They're not lazy. They just need some peace. And so sometimes we think that these kids are lazy because they might be procrastinating something, but really they're not lazy. They're just maybe stressed. And how can we chunk something up for them to be successful? And then when it comes to respect, we want to ask them for their opinion and their input. And a lot of times when I see a green with a red parent or a red teacher, sometimes what happens is nagging, and that really doesn't help. It just increases their stress and they will move even slower. And so that's not solving the situation. It's sometimes making it worse for that student. And so some things that we could say for a green when it comes to harmony is maybe, thank you for helping us reach a compromise. I feel great about what we decided. Okay. So again, kind of going back, or maybe even apologizing. I'm sorry for losing my temper. What can I do to make it up to you? Okay. Because again, sometimes it's really hard to work with these adults and these students because conflict happens in life. But when we're able to kind of just tell them, hey, we're going to talk about this, and we're going to come to a solution for this activity. Another thing is that feeling of worth. So they want to feel that seen and they want to feel valued. And so being a good friend and not showing up does not always show up on their report card, but I see how kind you are to others. So again, even though some of their characteristics might not pop up, it's just, again, noticing them and thinking about it. Maybe they missed practice or something, or maybe they were absent from school. And so we can just kind of say, it wasn't the same without you. I'm glad you're back. Okay. So again, they feel seen because they weren't there and you missed them. What would we have done without you today? You were so calm and focused. Again, they're so calm in situations where it is stress. And then the lack of stress. So we might kind of students, even though it's not required, you can retake the test tomorrow if you want to raise your grade. Okay. So anytime we can kind of help them not be so stressed or have that testing anxiety is going to be really helpful. What would your ideal schedule be for today? So asking them what they kind of want their day to look like. And then you might say, like, let's see what we can work out. You can also maybe have them decide on what activities they're in the mood for. Nothing has been booked yet. So again, asking for their opinion in these situations can be helpful. And then respect. So we're valuing their input. And we have to ask a green. They're not usually the ones to speak up. And so we might just say, what do you think? We don't want to make a decision until you have shared or weighed in your opinion. And just asking them what they would like, and then pointing out, hey, what a good point. I'm glad you shared that. Okay, so again, uplifting that green is really going to be helpful to build that relationship. So now let's talk about some instructional strategies Now that we kind of know an overview of the different colors and how they react, what their innate needs are, and what they might look like when they're in weakness. So when we give feedback, your gold or your yellow and your red are the first two colors we're going to start with. So when it comes to yellow, they are going to want that verbal praise. They're going to want to be recognized. They're also going to want that positive, encouraging feedback. Okay. They also want to be focused on their strengths and be mindful for their need of social interaction. Okay. So maybe after you give them feedback, you might say, let's go ahead and let's work with a group on this. Let's have the group kind of come up with a solution to this and work together with them. You might also provide them with the feedback sandwich where it's something good, the negative, and then something good again. Your reds, they want it to be direct and they want it to be concise. So they want to know exactly what the feedback is, even if it is maybe negative. And they also want you to acknowledge that they have leadership skills and their decision-making skills. They also want to be highlighted on their accomplishment and their progress towards the goal. So for example, if you have a red and they are almost finished, you might just point out what step they're on and kind of congratulate them, or you're almost the first one to be done. That's awesome. Encourage them to pause and reflect on their actions. So have them kind of reflect and think back about what they might have done. And then you also want to provide them opportunities for them to take charge and lead the discussions with their project or how they might be accomplishing different tasks. When it comes to the blues and the blues are, again, very detailed. They are perfectionists. So they're probably going to be very hard on themselves. So take that into account. They're already probably criticizing their own self more than other people would. And so we need to recognize that, and we need to kind of acknowledge, hey, you put in some high quality work and that's awesome. We also need to be very sensitive, and we need to think about our feedback and how we're going to give them to them, because again, they're very self-critical already. And we want to encourage these students to take breaks and to maintain balance between excellence and self-care, because again, perfectionism can sometimes be like at these students. So we want to, again, kind of go back and think about self-care as well. When it comes to our greens, we want to give feedback calm and supportive. Okay, so we want to come at it from a supportive angle. That way they're not, again, thinking that this is a conflict or that you're upset with them or angry at them for making a mistake. We also want to acknowledge that they have had maybe like a positive relationship with their peers, highlight their listening skills. We want to encourage them to participate and share their thoughts, because again, they're not just going to come out and share. So we want to encourage them. Hey, you did a really good job with this. Could you help this other student maybe reflect on this as well? We want to offer opportunities for them to collaborate with others and provide their feedback in a collaborative setting. So no matter what the temperament is, there are just some really great practices when it comes to feedback. We want to be very detailed. We want to provide examples in their own work, suggestions for how these students can improve. We also want to focus on their effort and growth when they're working on the different projects. We want to focus on their balance for feedback as well. And then we want them to reflect and self-reflect. So we want them to be able to reflect and self-assess, so that way they can build those metacognition skills, so they're able to set their own goals and really think about, okay, this is what I am really struggling with. When it comes to motivation, there's just a couple of things as well when we're thinking about motivation. So we want to provide opportunities for social interaction for our yellows. They love people. They love working in groups. They want to hear that praise. They want to have fun. So whenever you can do like a game or some type of fun project, we are going to be all into that. They also need you to set their goals and provide a sense of excitement or maybe competition with them. And then again, celebrate their achievements. Where it's the reds, they might need you to set a challenging goal because they're going to accomplish it. They want to accomplish that goal. You also want to provide opportunities for leadership for these students and highlight them and highlight that they have maybe taken ownership of the project and that they're helping lead. Also recognize that their accomplishments throughout as well. And then our blues. These students need to know why the why behind the learning. Okay, why is it that we're learning this material? What is it? They might need us to break down tasks. And there's a new website that's really good for this. It's called Goblin Tools. It's an AI website. And what happens on here, you can go to the magic to-do list, and I can say, write a paragraph. And I can have this little icon right here, the little wand. It will break down each of those steps, and it can tell you how long it will take. So if I need to go here where it says write a clear topic sentence, I can break this down even more to sub-steps. And so then it says understands the purpose of the paragraph, determine the main ideas. And breaking it down like this can help your blue students to accomplish that task. You want to maybe offer meaningful feedback and recognize their attention to detail, and then encourage their creativity. Our greens need that calm, supportive environment. They also want choices and flexibility in the assignments and activities. So asking them, what order do you want to do this in? What choices? And again, you might just want to provide them 2 choices instead of a lot, because sometimes they are indecisive. You want to encourage collaboration and provide that clear structure for them and highlight their positive work that they're doing with others. And then just in general, every personality will benefit from this, where you have clear goals for every single person. You're connecting the material to the real world. You're providing feedback ongoing. You're using learning activities. You're creating that positive, inclusive classroom environment. And you are also remembering that students are individuals. So again, kind of thinking about different factors that come with motivation, either positive relationships or their interests and needs as well. And then when we're communicating, we want to use a sense of humor with yellows. Again, they love fun and they want to be celebrated. Where with reds, we need to keep it very brief and to the point. Okay, they don't want all the details. They will probably tune you out if you give them too many details. So again, be really respectful of their time. The blues want clear and concise information. And then they also probably prefer like email, phone, or conferences. And then the greens want to make sure that you know their child. Okay, so if you're dealing with a green parent, they really want to make sure that you know, ask questions, and listen to their answers. And then just in general, be patient. Okay, it takes time to build trust. Be yourself when you're working with parents, positive, be supportive, and be fair. So you do have an opportunity every single day with every person that you encounter to either hurt or to help them. And so thinking about these colors, how can you help every single student in your classroom? And how do you pause and choose? So for example, if I'm a red, I might have the tendency to be bossy, but today I'm going to choose to delegate well. Okay, so every day you're going to pause and choose how you're going to respond in certain situations. If you're interested in more, these are all of the different resources I've used to learn about temperaments, and they've all been really helpful, and I've learned so much from them. So thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions or need anything, feel free to email me at this email address. I also have a podcast that comes out every single week on Wednesdays. And then I also have a book on executive functioning. But thank you again for joining me.
Thanks, Stephanie.